Welcome back to the deep dive. We usually focus on, the gear that shaped sounds everyone knows.
Yeah, the big names, the iconic effects.
But today we're doing something a bit different. We're digging into the footnotes, pulling out a piece of rare utility gear.
Something that often gets forgotten, almost feels like a myth sometimes.
Exactly. But it turns out it's hiding a pretty significant technical secret.
We are talking about the MXR MX 157. Sometimes you'll see it listed as the M157.
Right, their headphone amplifier pedal.
And our mission, basically, is to trace where it came from, figure out what problem it was trying to solve.
And uncover this surprising story about what's actually inside the box.
It's kind of a quiet star, but with a really fantastic engineering tale behind it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. This was an official MXR product. It's in their old catalogs and indexes.
Listed as the headphone amplifier, yeah. And the year is 1982.
So that puts it right in that later vintage era. Same time as some real classics.
But you almost never see one. Never hear about it being traded or discussed much.
Which immediately makes you ask, well, why? Why did MXR make a specific pedal just for plugging in headphones? Seems a bit niche.
Well, it was all about pure practical utility back then. It solved a very real problem.
Which was?
Volume. Think about the late 70s, early 80s. Guitar rigs were getting louder, pedal boards were expanding, but, not everyone could crank a Marshall stack in their apartment.
Right. Neighbors, landlords, the eternal problem.
Exactly. And sure, you can maybe plug headphones into some amps, like an extension jack, or use a mixer.
But that often meant firing up the whole amplifier rig anyway, didn't it?
It did. This little pedal bypassed all that. It was designed to sit right at the very end of your effects chain.
Okay. After all the chorus, delay, distortion.
Precisely. It acted as the final amplification and volume control directly into your headphones.
You could hear everything, your whole sound.
Without making a sound out loud. It was basically the original silent practice tool.
Kind of convenience engineering, really. Designed to keep the peace.
Keep the peace. Save your sanity. Let you tweak sounds late at night.
So, silent practice, checking effects on their own, maybe dialing in a sound without needing the main amp. Makes sense.
Super practical functions.
But despite being so useful, as we said, these vintage MX 157s are just incredibly hard to find now.
Yeah, they rarely pop up on collector sites or marketplaces. Very scarce.
Why do you think that is? Just not as cool as a Phase 90.
That's probably part of it. It's the paradox of the utility item, isn't it? It did its job, maybe did it well.
But it wasn't fun. It wasn't an effect.
Right. So maybe they made fewer. Or maybe people just used them until they died and then tossed them. Who knows?
But that scarcity actually makes the story more interesting, especially when we get to what's inside.
Which leads us neatly into the circuit lineage, the sort of aha moment of this whole thing.
And this is where the detective work starts. Because unlike, say, the Dynacom or the Phase 90, you don't just find official MXR datasheets or schematics for the MX 157 easily online. The official history is pretty murky.
It is murky, yeah. But the pedal community, the DIY folks, they've stepped up.
How so?
Well, if you dig around on places like Effects Database, they mention schematics circulating thanks to the Free Info Society.
Which is basically code for dedicated enthusiasts, right?
Yeah.
Engineers, builders.
Exactly. People committed to preserving the blueprints, especially for these classic, sometimes overlooked circuits.
So the knowledge is out there, even if the pedals themselves are rare.
And you see that preservation effort reflected in the DIY community today. Take General Guitar Gadgets, GGG.
Yeah, they do lots of classic clones.
They have a project specifically called the MXR Headphone Amp. It's presented as a reconstruction of that vintage circuit.
That tells you something, doesn't it? That the circuit itself is considered important enough to recreate.
Definitely. And GGG's own notes on it are interesting. They call it a very nice, simple headphone amp for your guitar.
Simple, but effective. Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The twist. When you start looking at those preserved schematics and what people say about them in forums and listings, there's this really strong, consistent claim that pops up again and again.
Which is?
That the core analog circuit of this headphone amp pedal is virtually the same as the MXR microamp.
Wait, the microamp? The famous clean boost?
That's the one.
Hold on, that seems unlikely. The microamp is a booster. It's designed to slam the front end of a tube amp, provide volume.
Right, high impedance input of an amp.
It's absolutely not designed to drive headphones, which are low impedance. How could they possibly share the same basic circuit?
Well, that's the really clever part, isn't it? It suggests that MXR, being smart engineers, didn't reinvent the wheel for a utility pedal. They took a circuit they already had, one that was proven, robust, known for being clean and powerful.
The microamp circuit.
Which provides that great signal lift.
Yeah.
And they adapted it.
Okay, adapted how? The microamp gives you the clean gain stage, the power.
Yep, the core amplification.
But what's the missing piece to make it work for headphones?
It's all about the output stage. Output buffering.
Explain that a bit.
Okay, so a standard boost like the microamp expects to see a high impedance load like your amp's input. Easy to drive.
Right.
Headphones are the opposite. Much lower impedance. They demand more current to move those little speakers properly.
So if you just plugged headphones straight into a microamp's output,
it would sound pretty weak, probably thin. You'd lose volume, lose dynamics. The signal just wouldn't have the oomph, the current drive.
Gotcha. So the MX157 headphone amp likely takes that powerful microamp gain stage.
The engine.
And then adds a dedicated, beefy, low impedance output buffer stage right after it.
Exactly. A stage specifically designed to handle that difficult headphone load without collapsing. It's like a hybrid design.
The microamp provides the voltage gain. The buffer provides the current drive.
Precisely. And that probably explains why people might still seek out this sound, even in clones.
Because it's not just any headphone amp circuit.
No. It's fundamentally that well-regarded, punchy, transparent microamp circuit. Just perfectly adapted for driving your ears directly.
That's actually quite brilliant engineering. Use a great core circuit, then tailor the output for the specific job.
Built, right, not just built cheap. It has that MXR signature, even on a utility box.
Okay, so that explains the core. Now, how does this legacy play out today, given how rare the originals are?
Well, the market does what the market does, right? When something good and rare exists, people make copies or derivatives.
And we see that happening here.
Absolutely. You can find modern pedals, like one called the Dunlop Headphone Amp Pedal.
Okay.
Which is explicitly, openly marketed as being based on or a copy of the M157.
Interesting. So the marketing for the copy actually reinforces the reputation of the original.
Totally. The scarcity itself becomes part of the value. The modern listings don't just say, hey, here's a headphone amp.
They
specifically say it's a copy of the legendary and rare MXR M157 headphone amplifier pedal.
Yeah.
The legend status is baked in now.
Wow. From humble utility box to legendary.
It's quite the journey.
And this leads us to one final, really intriguing technical detail that often shows up with these derivative units.
Ah, yes. Something that really hints at the power inside that original design adaptation.
We're talking at the power supply requirement.
That's it. You often see descriptions saying these things are built like a tank, which is nice.
Standard pedal marketing.
Yeah. But the crucial bit is the operating voltage. They'll say it can run on a standard 9-volt supply, maybe even 12-volt, but it's really designed for and performs best with an 18-volt power adapter.
Okay, so for someone running a typical pedal board, mostly 9-volt stuff, what's the big deal about doubling the voltage to 18-volt?
Especially for an analog circuit driving headphones.
Yeah. Why do they specifically claim 18 volts gives full amp-like tone?
It's all about headroom, maximizing headroom.
Explain headroom in this context.
Okay, think of the voltage rails 0 volts and 9 volts or 0 volts and 18 volts as the ceiling and floor for your audio signal.
Right.
When you feed an analog circuit, especially something like an op-amp-based boost circuit, which is likely at the heart of the microamp section, if you hit it with a strong signal, the waveform tries to swing up and down. On 9 volts, it hits that ceiling and floor relatively quickly.
And that's clipping, right? Distortion.
Exactly. And that happens even sooner when the circuit is also struggling to push a demanding low-impedance load like headphones.
Makes sense.
But when you push the voltage up to 18 volts, you effectively raise the ceiling way higher. You double the space the signal has to swing cleanly.
So much more room before it clips.
Loads more room. Massive headroom. This means even when you hit a loud chord, those big transient peaks in the signal, they get passed through cleanly without distorting. The sound stays dynamic, articulate, open, much like a high-voltage tube amp that isn't being pushed into overdrive.
That's why they say amp-like tone. It's about the dynamic feel as much as the sound itself.
Precisely. It maintains that fidelity and dynamic range even when you're practicing silently.
Wow. For a musician back in 1982, that must have been pretty revolutionary. Silent practice that didn't sound small or compressed.
It really elevates the MX157, doesn't it? It's not just a volume box. It's a proper, high-fidelity monitoring tool built around a fantastic core circuit.
A simple utility pedal, hiding that powerful boost, optimized for headphones, and capable of running at higher voltages for exceptional performance.
And the fact that people are still cloning it, still preserving the schematics, that proves its design really worked and still holds up.
So let's recap. The MXR MX 157 headphone amp, a rare bird from 1982.
The utility pedal born out of necessity for silent practice.
Almost certainly derived from the famous MXR microamp circuit.
But crucially adapted with a robust output stage to drive headphones properly.
And valued today for that very reason, its powerful, clean, high headroom performance, especially noticeable when run at 18 volts.
It's a fantastic example of smart engineering adapting a great existing design, turning a simple tool into, well, a quiet legend.
An incredible story for something just meant to, let you practice without bothering anyone.
Indeed.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. If this simple headphone amp adapter became legendary and rare,
what piece of common, maybe slightly boring utility gear on your pedal board today is destined for the same fate in 40 years?
Is it going to be that tuner pedal everyone uses? Or that cheap but reliable patch bay? Maybe even a specific model of power supply?
What simple functional box today will be the subject of a deep dive decades from now?
Something to think about next time you're plugging everything in.
Definitely something to chew on.
Yeah.
Thanks for diving in with us today.